There we are. There we are. Hello, everybody. Welcome from the doghouse. Obviously the Chiron below me is a little bit misleading. We are not live at the U.S. Open, but we are live talking about the U.S. Open. I flew home today. An interesting day. A very, very interesting day. I think we have a very sort of different major weekend on our hands. We talked about. I'm gonna show kind of my summary of where we are in the situation right now. A bunch of big names going home. We got Bryson, Ludwig, Neiman, JT, Straka, Shane Lowry, all missed the cut at Oakmont. Scottie is clinging on, just sort of at the edge of contention. Just 3 out of 156 guys under par. I do think we'll see an over par winner. We only got 3 guys through the halfway point who are under par. We got 1 guy at 3 under, 1 guy at 2 under, 1 guy at 1 under. But if you look at the last 6 major winners, if we go back to the beginning of 2024, as the horn just blew, I'm watching it's pouring rain. They're still playing. I was talking about this yesterday, how much I love the U.S. Open because they play literally all day. And Tristan Lawrence is still out there, and they just blew the horn, and he's on the 18th green. He doesn't seem to be too thrilled about the situation, but it is pouring rain. But if you go back to the beginning of last year, Scottie Scheffler won the Masters in 2024, which was no surprise at all. Then the PGA was Xander, which was sort of consensus best player to have not won a major yet. After that was Bryson. Then it was Xander again. Then we had Scottie and Rory to begin this year. So 6 straight sort of blue chip major winners, and there's still plenty of time for that to happen. But if you look at the top guys on this leaderboard, the only one in the top 7 with a major championship is Adam Scott. So Sam Burns is in the lead at 3 under after a truly remarkable round of 65. The only round ever better at Oakmont at a U.S. Open, better than that one, was a guy named Johnny Miller, who actually made a nice, heartwarming appearance in the booth, I would say. He was in there, called a couple golf shots for a little while. Never forget Johnny Miller, 63 at Oakmont. He never lets us forget. He shouldn't. He deserves it. You shoot 63 at Oakmont in the U.S. Open, you have the right to say and do what you please. But it was a fantastic round. So he's at 3 under. We got J.J. Spawn at 2 under. Victor Hovland at 1 under. And then Adam Scott, Ben Griffin, both even par. Victor Perez +1. Tristan Lawrence +1. Russell Henley +2, big for Russell Henley. He had missed the cut in the first 2 majors of the year, same as Seb Straka. Seb Straka missed the cut at this major to make it 3 straight majors. He's missed the cut in all 3 so far this year. Brooks Koepka, who we talked a lot about yesterday, who I still just can't quite shake this feeling that Brooks is going to win another major and do it soon. I think, as far as motivation goes, seeing Rory McIlroy do what Rory McIlroy did and get to 5 majors and kind of leapfrog him in the all-time Pantheon rankings, I think that's got to light a fire under Brooks. I think he's in the prime of his career. He's got all the money in the world. He's motivated by history book, and he's Rory's gotten him. They should give Tristan that putt, says Ben. What's up, Ben? We miss you. First gimme in U.S. Open history. If Tristan Lawrence wins the U.S. Open, I'm not watching golf again. I don't think Tristan Lawrence is going to win the U.S. Open. But speaking of the guys who missed the cut, let's do a quick little drive-by. We're going to talk about basically every player on the leaderboard, but I put together just favorited a few guys just to show the quality of players who missed the cut, and it was a lot closer to being a lot more. Rory McIlroy had to birdie the last hole to make it on the number. Xander Schauffele got in at 6 over to keep his streak alive. He's been top 15, I think, in the last 7 or something. U.S. Open's been just an insanely consistent player in major championships. Hasn't missed a cut of any kind in 65. I think they showed that stat. It is a bogus stat because there's a lot of no-cut events, way more than there used to be. But Xander safely into the weekend. But these guys aren't. Ludwig +8. Again, we're in danger of it being sort of a disappointment of a year, a little bit of a lost year for Ludwig. I think started with that win at Torrey Pines in the Genesis that was relocated. And I think we thought he was going to challenge Scottie for number 1. Hasn't quite happened yet. He missed the cut at Quail Hollow, and he missed the cut again this week. So 2 out of the first 3 majors. Phil Mickelson was actually playing pretty well. He was like 3 over for a little while on Sunday, or on Friday, I should say. Struggled coming into the house. He misses the cut. Patrick Cantlay misses the cut again in a major championship. He was 4 over through his first 6 holes, really put himself behind the 8 ball. Tommy Fleetwood, I think we expected to see him play a lot better on a course that is really, proving to be a lot about, do you hit it where you're looking? And are you able to make a lot of putts? Because Sam Burns has made a lot of putts, and we're going to talk about how I feel like he is quickly challenging Denny McCarthy's throne as the best golfer and as the best putter in the world. And I understand he's been the best putter on the PGA Tour this year, but I didn't say he's challenging Danny McCarthy for the title of best putter on the PGA Tour this year. You got to do it multiple years to be considered the best putter in the world. Sam Burns is getting close to Denny McCarthy. Another guy who some consider to be one of the best putters in the world is Cameron Smith. Misses the cut again. His very poor form continues. Hey, Dan says Aussie golfer. Hello, hello. I want you guys to get in the chat. It's a Friday night show. I'm chilling. It's 8:30 on the East Coast. Just talking about golf. I figured, why not? I wasn't even planning to go live today. I was planning to do it tomorrow and Sunday. We already had shows yesterday and Thursday live from Oakmont. I am experiencing a little bit of a post-Oakmont come down. It's not... The spot that Ben and I were in yesterday was pretty damn elite. Sitting right above the range, watching them get ready to get that range in tip-top shape. And, man, that range was out of control, how good that range was. One of the stars of the show. But going back to the graveyard, Tommy Fleetwood misses the cut. Minwoo Lee misses the cut, +9. Bryson DeChambeau misses the cut. Now, he had been very much in contention the last 5 majors played on U.S. soil, going all the way back to the Masters last year. Chance to win the Masters, kind of faded a little bit on the weekend, but one shot behind at Valhalla. Then he was wins at Pinehurst, then was in the final group at the Masters and finished tied for second at Quail Hollow earlier this year. So definitely a come down from Bryson DeChambeau. He'll be really disappointed to miss the cut this weekend. Just didn't have it. Joaquin Niemann didn't make a birdie today, was sort of lifeless out there. Has won 4 of the 8 live events already so far this year. He had his first top 10 in the major championship in the last major, so I think a lot of people expected him to maybe contend this week and sort of make that next step. Didn't happen. Justin Rose finished second in the Masters, missed the cut at the PGA, missed the cut this week. And then Shane Lowry got a penalty for picking up his ball just very much in the middle of play. I don't know what he was thinking, but he did say F this place, which he tends to say when he's not playing well, about Oakmont. So there's sort of the graveyard, but let's focus in first on Sam Burns, because this was, make no mistake about it, and shout out to Jamie Kennedy, who does amazing work. If you don't follow Jamie Kennedy on Twitter, he's always compiling these threads and these stats that are really helpful. Best PGA Tour rounds in 2025. This was from earlier in the day, so I don't know if this held up, but Sam Burns picked up 9.7 shots compared to the field average today. He shot 65. The field average was 74.7, 74.8, a little bit higher, I believe, than it was yesterday. That would make it the best round on the PGA Tour so far this year, beating out Jake Knapp, his 59 at the Cognizant, which gained 9.6. Justin Thomas, 62 at the Players. Ben Griffin, 65 at Memorial. Ben Griffin is right up there again. And with each passing day and each passing round, this Ben Griffin stuff is starting to feel less and less like a flash in the pan, and more like the emergence of a star. It doesn't feel like he's going to fade this weekend. Again, it's 36 holes. It's Oakmont. It's the U.S. Open. One bad hole, but he shot 1 under yesterday, shot 1 over today, squarely in the mix. And Adam Scott is also even par, who I just feel like he's going to get one more. I feel like he's going to get that second major before he's done. But yeah, so speaking of Sam Burns, I was talking about this earlier. I think that, him and Denny McCarthy, I think we need to do like a skills challenge where we get the two of them on a mini golf course, because the title of who is the best putter in the world, it's been an easy answer the last couple of years. It was I think it was Cameron Smith and through 2022, and then Denny McCarthy has really held the mantle for the last couple of years, but Sam Burns is coming for it. Here he was talking about his putting.
Why do you think you're a good putter? Like one of the best in the world.
I practice it a lot. I try to keep it very simple. I think, if you look at putting, the ball's rolling on the ground. There's a lot of imperfections on grass. There's a lot of different lines the ball can go in depending on the speed. And so I think if you try to be too perfect with putting, it can drive you crazy. And so I just try to really read it, put a good roll on it, focus on speed, and hope for the best.
Why do you think?
I don't think it's a coincidence that you got JJ Spawn up there, who made every putt he looked at on Thursday, and you've got Sam Burns right up there, who made every single putt he looked at on Friday. This golf course is so difficult that making those 15, 20-footer. Sam Burns made like a 25-footer, maybe a 30-footer for par at the last hole. Those guys, and that's the reason why someone asked in the chat, what do I think the winning score is going to be? I think +1's going to win the tournament. Really just because of sort of the lack of guys under par, and also the guys who are under par are really, really putting the lights out. And one guy who's actually not putting the lights out is Victor Hovland. Victor is in solo third. He's at 1 under par, just 2 shots back. He leads the field, or he did last time I looked, at least, in strokes gained tee to green. had 5 3-putts, I believe, through 2 rounds, and is only 2 shots back. Here was Victor talking about his round, but what I more appreciated about this clip was I think he came in right after Scottie Scheffler. We're gonna talk about Scottie. We're gonna show a little bit of his press conference, and yeah, they had to move the camera a little bit. Here's Victor Hovland.
As tall as Scottie. Couple more years. Yeah, appreciate that.
Victor, you've been obviously talking about your swing changes and the progress over the past year or so. How did you feel coming into this week, and then how has it felt now playing 2 rounds of college?
Definitely felt better about it, but still haven't been overly confident in my ball striking up until recently. But last week we saw some really good progress, and earlier this week was very happy with some of the shots that I was hitting out there in the practice round. So super excited that I was able to take that out with me in the tournament.
My audio was just out for like the last 5 minutes, but it's okay. We're back. You guys are absolute legends. Sorry about that. I was just yapping that whole time with absolutely no audio. What I was talking about was Keegan Bradley. He's in a tie for 12th. A super strong finish. Disaster. You guys just relax. The audio's back. We're absolutely back. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the chat. But Keegan came back really strong. Played his last 5 holes in 3 under par. To get in the house at +3. He's in a tie for 12th. He's told everybody throughout the year that it was going to be after the U.S. Open that he was going to really start to lock in and decide, think about how his team is going to shape up. Well, he's one of the Americans who's up there close. It is playing like a U.S. Open like I hoped it would, where you shoot an under par round and you absolutely skyrocket up the board. Jason Day, 76 the first round, 67 the second round. That was matched by Max Grazerman, 76 the first round, 67 the second round. I asked him for an official statement. I'm no longer on site, so I can't ask questions in press conferences, but I asked for Max's official statement, and he said, this golf course is too hard for me to Siwoo, which is obviously playing off what Siwoo Kim said. Siwoo 68-74, same as Brooks Koepka 68-74. John Rahm, who I said if I could redraft, I would have picked, shot 75 and was a little bit out of sorts. Also out of sorts was Scottie Scheffler. He's at 4 over with Colin Morikawa. Just didn't really have control, and seemed really frustrated. I do read the chat. I'm reading the chat. This is what I hear when my golf instructor tells me to practice more. Okay, I'm back. Oakmont is a test for all of us. Shane Lowry picked up a ball today that was just on the green after missing a putt like he had never played a golf tournament before. Okay, not having audio for a second, I think we can get past that. But so Scottie's 7 back. Now again, not even close to out of it, but he was in better position in the PGA, and he said it was not quite the position that he hoped to be in after a couple rounds. Here's Scottie Scheffler.
Me getting away with 1 over today wasn't all that bad. It could have been a lot worse.
Did you see this coming? from the range onto the course? Were you just not striking well off the tee, leading to the battle?
No, I anticipated to hit it better.
I figured you would. I mean, what kept you from sorting it out over the course of?
He's like, yeah, no, I expected to play better than that. I am the number one player in the world. I am the best golfer since Tiger Woods, so did not expect to not be in control of my ball all day.
The round. Was that frustrating?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're not hitting the way, or playing up to my expectations, I think it's very frustrating. I think mentally this was tough as I battled for the whole day. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on out there that was not going in my favor necessarily. And
That's the United States Open. That's what we're all here for. That's what we enjoy watching so much.
I felt like Ted did a good job of battling, and especially coming down the stretch. I felt like got some momentum back with a birdie on 2, quickly lost it with a bogey on 3, but then bounced back, birdied 4, great up and down on 5, great up and down on 6, birdie 7, good par on 8. I made the mistake there on 9, but that's just what happens when you don't hit the fairway. But overall, definitely not out of the tournament. Today was, I think, with the way I was hitting it, was easily a day I could have been going home, and battled pretty hard to stay in there. And I'm 4 over. We'll see what the lead is after today, but around this golf course, I don't think by any means I'm out of the tournament.
It's starting to separate a lot too. There's some extremely high scores and a few very low scores. But we we had Neil Shipley on the show, and Neil's looking prescient, which is shouldn't surprise us. He is a member at Oakmont, and he is a professional golfer. He said, someone's going to shoot 66 on Thursday and then probably follow it up with a 2 over round. But he's absolutely right. And he said, you won't get a leaderboard like we got even at Quail Hollow at the end, where there were so many guys who had a chance. A course like this, with how demanding it is, it really just ejects guys who aren't in control of their ball. So I expect this to get even thinner by tomorrow afternoon. And I'm always curious, Data Golf, I actually heard them getting a little bit of love on the broadcast today, which I like to see. Those guys work really hard and they crush it. And I think Data Golf has been hugely important since the world rankings have lost their relevancy a little bit. Not even a little bit. I would call the world rankings completely irrelevant. So Data Golf has filled the void with comparing players across tours, and then also their live models really amazing as far as predicting what the cut's going to be. And also, they have sort of what I call like a shadow leaderboard. So this is their shadow leaderboard. This is how they feel like everyone. The guy, Sam Burns, has the best chance of winning. JJ Spawn, number 2. Victor Hovland, number 3. So they've got the top 6 guys basically in order, the top 5 guys. But then you see Scheffler has the next best odds after the guys at even par, and Rahm at +4. So this is their sort of shadow leaderboard. They do believe that Sam Burns has the best chance to win the tournament, and you can see how much they believe in Scottie, because they've got Scottie and Rahm, and then they've got Siwoo at 2 over, Victor Perez at 1 over, and then Cullen at 4 over. Nope, that's my dog scratching at the door. No, Billy, don't come in here. Curious what your guys' sort of shadow leaderboards are. I mean, I said this yesterday that I would have picked Rahm if I could do it over again. I don't know if I could do it over again who I would pick. It feels crazy to say, but my mind is getting really drawn to Ben Griffin. He's won twice already this year. You can even call it 1.5 times if you want to discredit the Zurich win that he won with Andrew Novak, but he's won twice already this year. He finished in the top 10 at the last major at Quail Hollow. He finished second in the last signature event at the Memorial, where the winning score was, I think, single digits under par. Might have been Scottie might have run away with it a little bit there at the end. He might have been 11 under, but it was a major sort of ready golf course. And I don't know if Scottie was 3 over, I might still take Scottie. But my mind is very much drawn to Ben Griffin. I just feel like there's a certain energy that he has. Dan, how are we feeling about Brooksy, says Pierce Galloway? He's in at +2. This is a marathon. This is the definition of a marathon. It's interesting that Data Golf does not fancy his chances very much. You can see that right here. They don't even have him in the list. I think that's probably because Data Golf is going to be sort of skewed on recent things that are quantifiable, and Brooks's recent play, if you look at the numbers, does not suggest that he is someone who is going to erase a 5-shot lead. But I don't know if they have the 5-time major winner quotient appropriately weighted in those rankings. Right? This is Brooks Koepka. This is a 35-year-old guy who has been mostly healthy. the last year at least. There's some knee issues, but there's feels like Brooks is always telling us that he's finally healthy, but we haven't heard much about the health problems at all in the last little while, and he's in the 35. You should be in the prime of your career, and they were asking him early this week, the difference sort of between how approaching a week like this. When you were at one of the favorites and you're in one of these major groups, and then approaching a week like this when maybe you're not. And he said, for me, it's no different. He said, I feel like the same guy. It's just my mechanics have been off. So I would not be surprised at all if Brooks, keeps it steady and is there absolutely to the end. I cannot forget, and I won't soon forget. It's really when I started really covering golf was when Brooks Koepka was dominating, when Brooks Koepka was the dominant force in world golf, at least in major championship golf, 2017, 2018 through 2019. So we'll see. Adam Scott, I'm very intrigued to watch. He's obviously getting up there in age. I want to say he's 44, but it feels like he's getting faster every year somehow. That's what when you ask people about Adam Scott, Adam Scott is one of the most universally beloved and respected figures out on tour. One of the things I love about Adam Scott is I feel like you never see him. I feel like he comes to the golf course, does his work, and then gets out of there. And I feel like he's when he's not at the golf course. I don't know if this is just a romantic image that I have in my head, but I feel like he's on some surf retreat all the time. I don't know if it's actually true, but they always say, obviously how amazing and how pure his swing is, but then even more so that the fact that he keeps on seeming to add speed as he gets older. Feels like he gets a mile or two faster. So he's still absolutely smashing the ball. And again, this week, it feels like, we knew at Quail Hollow how much length was going to be an advantage, how much being able to fly at 310 yards in the air was going to allow you to carry certain bunkers and make the fairway super wider and almost have like an exponential disproportionate example. I think so many of the Oakmont holes are long and straight. So obviously hitting it long and straight is better than hitting it short and straight. But the course doesn't seem to be playing like super crazy long, and it's more about keeping it in front of you. And so we'll see how Adam Scott fares. This is what he said. Moderator asked Adam, it feels a bit like a true U.S. Open, even par for you and just a few back. Talk about your place in the competition. He said, yeah, I guess I would have expected to be in this position if you said even par through 2 rounds. It's just hard out there. It's hard to keep it going when guys have got on a run. It seems like they've come back a bit. I'm playing old man par golf at the moment. And they said, how are you doing that? He said, I'm really for the most of the first 2 days, I've been in the fairway off the tee. That's the key. And therefore, there hasn't been too much stress in the rounds. I think I've played well off the tee, and the rest of the game has been okay from there. But I'd say I've been fairly strong off the tee. And then we'll give you one more, Adam Scott. More of a bigger picture question, just your consistency and obviously all the consecutive majors. This is 96, I think. There was a little while there a couple years ago where it looked like he might not get to 100 straight majors because he was having some difficulty qualifying, but he's had a really, really strong end of the season last season. I want to say he finished in the top 5 of the FedEx Cup, but yeah, so this is his 96 or something major. Do you think that goes a little bit under the radar and a little underappreciated? He said, maybe it does, but I'd be pretty proud of winning this thing on the weekend. Right now, that's really what I'm here to do. And I feel like there's probably not been many signs to anyone else but me the last month or 6 weeks that my game is looking better. But I definitely feel more confident than I have been this year. I feel like this is what I've been working towards. I was kind of in the mix late at the PGA and now kind of putting myself in this one for the weekend. It's a long way to go, but I feel like my game is in good enough shape to do this. Ben Boscovich says that he loves his shirts and pants and shoes. I think everyone can agree with that. Everyone seems to be on. When he first started wearing the tan, when I wear the tan, it's a big story. When Adam Scott wears the tan, it's cool. Someone was asking how I feel about Brooks. I think this sort of summarizes it a little bit. I saw this Antifaldo, who's one of my favorite sort of golf burner accounts. I will say Brooks Koepka is T8 and has to be looking at the guys in front of him like a fox staring at the hen house. He pushed back a little bit about that, that famous quote or that famous rant he went on about how, At majors, you really only have to beat 25 or 30 guys. And he ran through his justification. Half the guys I'm just better than, half the guys can't handle it. Someone brought it up this week, and he's like, I don't know why you guys always talk about that. I don't know why you guys always talk about that. Well, it was a pretty iconic thing, and then you started winning all these majors, so I think it makes sense. But it's the best position he's been in the major since 2023, since he won that PGA championship at Oak Hill, which came right after he nearly won the Masters at Augusta National. That is where they have the Masters. Last time I checked. So yeah, Brooks will be feeling absolutely great about his chances. Just got to play a little bit more solid going into the weekend. I'm looking now at some more scores. Robert McIntyre, who talked about how the even par 70 he shot on Thursday was one of the very best rounds of his life, and that he felt like if he could shoot 3 more of those 70s, he would leave with the trophy. He shot 74. He's at 4 over. I really do feel like we're going to get an over par winning score, which would be the first time that has happened in the United States Open since 2018. And it's starting to look like a reality just with the way the leaderboard is shaking up. Other guys who have played solid, Tyrrell Hatton, who definitely will have his patience tested this weekend. He always has his patience tested. He shot 73 on Thursday, and then 70. He's at 3 over par. We talked about Russell Henley avoiding the turkey of missed cuts in major championships. I think this will go a long way toward his Ryder Cup candidacy. You don't want to miss the cut in every single Ryder Cup, even though he's been in a Ryder Cup year in the majors, despite the fact that he's been super consistent. Someone asked in the chat, do you think DJ is done? DJ shot 10 over. He's going to miss the cut again in a major. I don't know. The thing about saying that someone's done is it's a sort of a binary answer. And, if you say they're not done and they don't win, then you're still okay. If you say that they're done and they win something later, you look like an idiot. I don't see, I've always believed that Brooks was not done. I've never bought that. I've never bought that Brooks was unmotivated or anything like that. DJ, I could get behind it. Gun to my head, does DJ win another major? No. Gun to my head, does DJ challenge for another major? No, I don't think so. They were talking to him earlier this week about 2016 and how he managed to shoot under par at this place, and he was talking about it just almost like a retrospective, almost like it was another life. He's like, yeah, I managed to drive it really well that week, and we got some rain early in the week, and I was playing really good and drove it really well. It sounded like a grandfather, drinking a Miller Lite at 2 p.m. talking about the glory days just a little bit. So do I think DJ's done? I mean, done is it's a stark word, but I don't believe in DJ's future the way that I still believe in Brooks Koepka's future. Do we think Sam Burns makes the Ryder Cup team? I think he's got a fantastic chance. He's been very, very solid the last couple months. Wasn't just last week in Canada. It's been building toward that, and I think he's got a little bit of experience that some of the other guys who may be on the bubble don't have. So I do think that his chances are looking really good right now. I'm gonna look at. In fact, I'm gonna find a way to bring this on the screen, and I can do that. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna bring it on the screen. It's we're gonna go through Rick's bets. Let's see how we do this. We're going to go through Rick Gaiman's bets because they're actually looking pretty solid so far this week. At least the matchups are. Just give me a second here. I will pull this up for all of you beautiful people. Rick Gaiman's bets. Rick Gaiman has been fantastic for us so far this year on Dan on Golf, making bets every single week. Rick's U.S. Open picks. He's still up. It's been a kind of a quieter last couple weeks, but he's still way up. Here we are. So here are his bets for the week. We'll get rid of the Brooks foreboding. Yeah, sorry, I'm still kind of new to this. Scottie Scheffler to win, still alive. Bryson DeChambeau to win, and Ludwig Åberg to win, absolutely not still alive. Spieth, absolutely still in the mix to be top 4 winner, plus 1,400. Brooks Koepka to miss the cut, plus 105. That does not hit. Winning score over 278.5. So if it's a 1 under or higher, we win. I'm feeling really good about that. Åberg beats Justin Thomas. I think that's a no bet, despite the fact that Åberg had a lower score than JT. They both missed the cut. Akshay Bhatia, did he make the cut? I'm not sure. Xander Schauffele, top 10, still very much alive. And Sam Burns, top 20, is looking good there. So a solid start for our man, Rick Gaiman. Not as good as I initially had thought, but we are alive. DJ doesn't have the fire anymore. Ben Griffin's still playing great. Yeah, it's been one of the main stories of the PGA Tour so far this year has been the emergence of Ben Griffin. Another story today. Took them a long time to play. There were, the 12th hole it was drivable despite being 647. I mean, that's really what a hole has to be be like a proper true risk reward par 5. Right now, even this one plays downhill. But I was watching. I remember Colin Morikawa had like 308 yards to the front, and that's now kind of what it has to be to challenge these guys. 260, 270. I mean, that might be a hard 4-iron for these guys now. It's one of the reasons why I have sort of evolved a little bit on the rollback issue. I was super against it, but the more I watch, the more I think this is kind of the only way to keep it sustainable and not having to keep adding length. Not every golf course is as big as Oakmont. I could not believe how big that property was. I walked from the media center to the merchandise tent. The media center is right next to 18, and the merchandise tent's all the way by 3, and it's all the way across the turnpike, and I can't even tell you how far and how long that took us. So not every place is like Oakmont that can keep adding length, but this was, 647 was a true par 5 today, but guys were still having a whack, and there were 5 groups on the tee at one time. Reminds me of junior golf when you would turn up and just see way too many bodies standing on the tee, and then you start to play that game. We called it pepper. I don't know what everyone else called it, where you have your drivers out. You start at one tee with the ball on the ground. You both have to hit the other tee marker and then hit the other tee marker and then hit each other's ball. Did you guys do that growing up in junior golf? Maybe that was just me. Speaking of tee markers, Rory McIlroy absolutely obliterated one today. Yeah, I don't know what's up with Rory. I don't know. I've said this all throughout this week, but I think, I put my hand up, those of us who thought this was going to unlock something and he was going to win every tournament, maybe we weren't paying attention enough to Rory in the past and how not everybody has this mindset that Tiger had of, in the gym, you win the biggest event of your career, you complete the career Grand Slam, and the next morning you're in the gym, in your head, basically throwing darts at your opponents because that's all you're thinking about is embarrassing them. That's obviously not how Rory McIlroy operates. He's an emotional guy, and he feels things that are very human and very relatable, but maybe we don't expect from our athletes. But yeah, there were 5 people on this tee box that ended up playing today. It was like close to a 6-hour pace. Is Oakmont in the U.S. Open? It's if there's one day where it's understandable that it's slow, it was this one. But it was definitely a test of patience out there. Especially you make a double bogey or you make a bogey and you stand on the tee for 25 minutes and you're just sort of marinating in your own failures is not a very good feeling. Grand Slam hangover, says Thomas Wang. Yeah, I think it's absolutely fair to say there has been a Masters hangover. I just think no one's wanted something in golf ever as much as Rory McIlroy has wanted to complete that career Grand Slam. It's Shakespearean. Is he ever going to win another major? The one tournament that evades him is the biggest tournament in the sport, and it's the one that he had the best chance to win when he was a kid, and he didn't win as a kid. And you thought, oh, he's just going to keep winning. He's going to have so many more chances at the Masters, and then they keep coming and going and coming and going, and he finally gets it done in such dramatic fashion. And then there's this massive exhale. We've seen it. We've absolutely seen it. I think a lot of us thought that it was just going to unlock something, and it's sort of gone the other way. I saw another tweet that was talking about how, just how many bogeys and how many bad scores were out there. I mean, Maxwell Moldovan, who started his tournament with a hole-out eagle, he finished 12 over. Rory McIlroy was 2 under through 7 or 8 holes and was squarely in the mix. Ludwig Åberg also got off to a really good start, and Bryson got off to a good start. I want to say he was even par, maybe even under par in his back 9 on Thursday, and ends up missing the cut. Ben James missed the cut by 1. It was the number 3 amateur in the world out of Virginia. Jackson Coyven, the number 1 amateur in the world, he misses the cut by a single shot, 72-76 for the Auburn Rising Junior. He's going to play a few more events, a couple of PGA Tour events coming up later this year. And then he's going to play the Western Am and the US Am, and that is it. Do you think Rory has a chance still? I think he does, says Marcos de la Maza. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't feel like Rory is driving it nearly straight enough to give himself sustained opportunities. You have to have your ball on a string out here or be putting the lights out, and he's doing neither. and I just haven't seen. I mean, even going back to the Masters, he wasn't driving it super straight. So I don't think that Rory still has a chance. I would say that Scottie still has a chance because he's Scottie Scheffler, and because we've seen him kick into gears where he hits. I'm thinking the back nine that he played on Saturday at Quail Hollow, where it's just 9, 10, 11, 12 perfect swings in a row, where it's middle of the fairway, it's middle of the green, either drawing toward the flag or cutting toward the flag, like just always the right shot. I just haven't seen Rory play that type of U.S. Open golf recently. What's the story for this Hastings guy? Okay. He made the cut. He will be the low amateur. I believe that Justin Hastings, is he the one who's from Cayman Islands? Yeah, so this kid's from the Cayman Islands, grew up on a 9-hole course. Now, I have not looked into the background. I don't know if it's like really rich, hiding from tax duties, Cayman Islands, or what the situation is. But because he's from the Cayman Islands, he plays at San Diego State. He was eligible for the Latin America Amateur Championship. He won the Latin America Amateur Championship, and he got to play in the Masters, got to play in the U.S. Open with that victory, and he is the lone amateur to make the cut. So that is, he will be there. He'll get his medal. Johnny Kiefer made the cut. Been the best player on the Corn Ferry Tour this year. I smoked pot with Johnny Kiefer back in the day. That's just a joke. That's a joke from Sloan Kettering and Johnny Hopkins. Johnny Kiefer is obviously an incredible name. 24-year-old from Baylor. He's the number one on the Corn Ferry Tour points list so far this year. He shot 76-69 safely through to the weekend. So is Maverick McNeely. Another guy who's putting a very, very solid Ryder Cup candidacy together. Got his mouth punched a little bit. He was bogey-free for a while for his first 15 holes. He was 3 under and bogey-free. Bogeyed 16 and 18 to have to settle for a 69. Did anyone else? What was the next lowest score today? The next lowest score today was 60. Okay, we had a couple 67s. Jason Day picked up 5 tee to green, I think Ben said in the chat. So an impressive ball striking display from Jason Day. If he wins the U.S. Open after wearing those shorts, I think he's even more on our team. At least Rory didn't mail it in, says Lawrence Myers. I did not think, especially after 17. 17 was where he destroyed the tee marker. It was a drivable par 4. He hit 3-wood, and he missed it short right, and he absolutely destroyed the tee marker, and he missed a pretty makeable birdie putt on that hole to get to 7 under, and then came to 18 needing a birdie and got it done. So a little bit of credit there for sure. It does feel like every time, whether we're in the part of the story where if Rory talks to the media or doesn't talk to the media, it's like a story every time. I saw the broadcast showing him walking out yesterday, not speaking after his round. It's just we're gonna remark on whether Rory McIlroy talks to the media for the rest of time. It seems like for the rest of the time. I'm going through some more of the pressers here. John Rahm, can you take us through the day? I didn't make a putt. That was the main difference. I didn't play bad. I played quite good golf. Didn't see anything go in beside a 7-footer on 7. That's it. That's a very hard thing to deal with, to try to shoot a score out here. And then can you put the score in perspective, though, given how tough the score is? Honestly, I'm too annoyed and too mad right now to think about any perspective. Very frustrated. Very few rounds of golf I played in my life where I think I hit good putts and they didn't sniff the hole, so it's frustrating. These guys don't want to talk about other people when they're out there. And then, before we go, I'm going to kind of wrap it up here a little bit, but Justin Thomas, another really, really disappointing major championship. Justin Thomas, and this is a stat that is hard to believe, since he won his second PGA championship in 2022, that was 3 years ago now, at Southern Hills, he's played 13 majors, and he's missed the cut in 7 of them. That is not very good. I believe there's only one top 10 in that period. Mav would be dope in the Ryder Cup, says JM. He said on this show, my goal is not to get to Bethpage. My goal is to win points at Bethpage. Chris Washburn says, Bryson's struggles shocked me, especially after gaining 2 strokes off the tee and on approach yesterday. Seemed like Ballesteros' slow play really messed with Bryson and Xander. That's an interesting little take. I caught a lot of the golf today on my phone because what did Ballesteros finish? Yeah, Ballesteros shot 12 over. He missed the cut by a bunch. I watched most of it on my phone while I was in the air, and it kept on cutting out a little bit. So I saw a lot of it, but I didn't see that bit about slow play. It would be very ironic if Bryson got bothered by someone's slow play, being as that was one of the main knocks on him in a past life. It really does feel like Bryson has had multiple lives out there. Other guys who made it on the number, James Nicholas. This was a really nice story out of Thursday. 28-year-old kid, Yale graduate, which you don't see very much, playing in major championships, played golf and football at Yale. One of the first guys to build a real social media following, taking pros on his journey of professional golf. He shot 1 under 69 as the sun set yesterday. Got punched in the mouth a little bit with a 78 today, but 7 over. He made it on the number, as did Patrick Reed, 73 yesterday with that albatross, 74 today. I've never seen someone more upset about an albatross. It was a very strange situation. He did an interview, and they were asking about the albatross. And he was like, it's just one shot, doesn't matter. And he was sort of cranky, and that was kind of the takeaway for the video. And then he collabed on Instagram with golf.com, who posted the video. The collabs this week, there's been a lot of collabs going on. US Open is collabing with Live Golf on every Bryson one. I don't know if that is Bryson said, hey, if you're going to post stuff of me, you got to collab Live Golf. But I've just seen a lot of interesting collabs this week. You know, I didn't expect to see a couple years ago US Open collabing with the Live Golf League, and I also didn't expect golf.com, which I believe was where Alan Shipnuck wrote his piece about Patrick Reed and his family when he won the Masters, that Patrick Reed was so angry about. I didn't expect to see Patrick Reed collabing with golf.com on an Instagram post, and on an Instagram post where the video was Patrick Reed almost being cranky about an albatross that he had. So I just caught my eye. Someone asked in the chat, did Rory skip an interview again? I'm looking at the media hub. I do not see a Rory McIlroy interview. Do you think Phil will receive a special invitation to future U.S. Opens? I think I do. That's actually, it's not unrelated to the U.S. Open collabing with Live Golf League. No, I think the anti-Phil movement has really quieted down. I don't think he's anywhere near as radioactive a personality as he once was. This was the last U.S. Open that he was exempt into from winning the 2021 PGA Championship at Kiowa, which there will never be. I could be covering the sport for another 40 years. There will never be a more unexpected champion than Phil Mickelson at Kiowa. I remember thinking this is the worst possible course fit for him. There's trouble absolutely everywhere. There's double bogeys all over the place. He was hitting it everywhere at that point. And the great ones, he found something and he timed it up all week and he was blasting it by Brooks Koepka. This was prime Brooks Koepka on Sunday. I'll never forget how unexpected that was. But I do think Phil, if he wants it, will get some invitations. I don't think he's played his last U.S. Open. I think he knows he's probably not gonna win the U.S. Open and complete the career Grand Slam. It's just too much for him at this age and the state of his game. Michael Morris says, I think you've talked about this, but I can't stand how they hand select the groups for the first 2 days. Should be randomized. Makes it feel like a fake sport when Rory is with Lowry, for example. Well, Rory was with Lowry and Justin Rose, and those guys combined to shoot, I believe, 19 over par. So I understand what you're saying, where it seems like, oh, that's a little buddy-buddy. But it didn't bring them any mojo this week. And it wasn't me who was really upset about that. It was Rick Gaiman. He said, there's already so many variables in the sport. Playing in one of these super groups is hard. There's a lot more people around. If our number one North Star here is the competitive integrity of the tournament, then why are we stepping on the scales and sort of creating a situation where not every player is created equal when it comes to tee times? Like Rory McIlroy or choose your person will never get the first tee time off with really fresh greens and moisture on the ground. Like it just won't happen because they put them in the middle of the wave. Chris Washburn says Biastair was spraying it so bad he was taking an eternity multiple times. Xander and Bryson stepped up and played out of turn. Okay, that would seem to suggest that maybe there was a little bit of tension. Maybe there was a little bit of tension if they're playing out of turn. But yeah, I mean, just Justin Thomas, he had a 22-foot birdie putt on 12 and ends with a 4-putt double bogey. For all the talk coming into the week about the rough at Oakmont, the thing that surprised me the most seeing there, other than the lack of trees, and I don't want to become Danny Tree Hugger, but I miss the trees out there. Again, it's not a black or white situation. It doesn't have to be either Sahali, where there's a forest on both sides, or the old course at St. Andrews, where there's not a tree for miles. But Oakmont, I'm telling you, when you're there and you're in the mountains and you see all the forest around and then you see nothing in it, it feels like it could use a little garnish, a little tree here or there. I'm not talking about going back to what it was like in the 90s where there's trees absolutely everywhere, but it feels a little bit naked to me. It feels just a little bit naked to me. But the other thing that took me by surprise or made the most mark on me from being on site is just how undulating the greens are. There's so much talk about how difficult the golf course is and how long the rough is, but the greens are they're diabolical and they're super, super fast. Do you think this course setup favors short guys with precision? I think it allows them to compete. I do, yes. There was a little bit of rain that was falling. It actually looked like pretty significant rain, just as the broadcast was finishing, and so that might play into some more. If moving forward, it might play into the long hitters' hands if it continues to play longer. If the fairways soften up to where these guys are hitting longer shots in, it looks like it's going to rain most of the night. I'm looking at my weather right now, and it looks like it's going to rain tomorrow and Sunday too. That's not good. I don't like that weather forecast. We have all these dreams of a bouncy course, but it's a reminder we play a sport that's outside, and you just don't know what's going to happen. It could be soft. There could be good scores tomorrow. That actually is disappointing to me. I got the perfect weather, man. It poured all day on Monday. I was traveling, got in. It was perfect on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Really nice, warm but not too hot. And then looks like the rain is coming back. Does Brooks get it done? I'm gonna pick Ben Griffin. I know that sounds crazy, but if I had to pick a player right now, I would pick Ben Griffin. I just feel like it's been sustained throughout a long period. It doesn't feel fluky at all. He's absolutely mashing it. He's got the confidence. He's got the belief. It's wide open, and it's a different feeling in a major championship. It's a different feeling in a major championship. The Masters, we had Rory up there, Scottie up there, Bryson was up there, these sort of titans, right? Rory, Bryson, Scottie, those guys have been the mainstays this year. None of those guys are on the list that I'm showing you this way. Nope. Yeah, there you go. There it is. None of them are on that first page of the leaderboard. That could change very quickly, but none of them are on that first page of the leaderboard. The JM's making a good point in the chat that with the length of the rough, and if it's at all wet, it will be even more about hitting fairways. So, really excited to watch this weekend. Love Saturday at the U.S. Open. I've said it all week. The U.S. Open is my favorite major. I love the qualifying aspect. I love the open nature of it. I love how it moves around. I love the sort of subplot of the USGA versus the players and how far are they willing to go with the golf course. I also love that I'm on the West Coast and I still get to sleep in tomorrow because the tee times are. Let's actually see what the tee times are tomorrow. Tee times, they're probably not done yet because, are they still playing out there? Yeah, they're still playing. Did they let them finish? Is Lawrence still out there? Yeah, Lawrence is still out there. Oh, that's tough. You might have to come back tomorrow morning. There's actually a few guys with a couple holes to play. Philip Barbary is +6 through 16 holes, a qualifier. So there's guys who still have everything to play for, and I don't know if they're going to get back out there. But let's see what the TV window is tomorrow so we can see what time. U.S. Open Saturday TV coverage. Let's see. It looks like it goes to 8 p.m. Eastern. So that means they'll tee off around probably 3:15 local time, 3 o'clock local time. Yeah, noon my time. You think this lab putter is making a difference on the green? JJ's lab putter. I switched to the lab putter, and I would marry it if I could. I wish lab made wedges. That's how much I like it. I don't want courses to get easier by any means, but I think Oakmont could use a couple flatter fairways. Love the rough and the fast greens, but a couple of those fairways seem random. Luck-based, says Brad Johnson. Interesting take. Dimitri Pendro says Victor is locked in. If he's on top Sunday, he closes. He doesn't fold under pressure, in my opinion. That is correct. Victor's got 7 wins, which is, I feel like his conversion rate when he's given himself a chance has been pretty high. He has had chances to win major championships, hasn't gotten that one done yet. But I think we all, if you would have asked us in the end of 2023, you would have said Victor was going to be, perennial top 5 player in the world. It's been a bit of a journey with all the swing coaches. I think he's back with Grant Waite, but check back tomorrow. That might change. If Brooks doesn't win this week, is this enough to get him on the Ryder Cup this year? Not 36 holes. Not 36 holes at the U.S. Open. If he finishes tied for 8th in the U.S. Open through 72 holes, I think his stature in the game and his history, and obviously his history at Bethpage Black, where he dominated. I mean, he kind of tried to give it away to DJ, but the first 2, I want to say he shot 64 on Thursday. I remember he played with Tiger. Tiger tripled the first hole. It was right after he won the Masters. Talk about a post-Masters hangover. And Brooks, I want to say he beat him by 13 that day. It was like 64 versus 77 or something like that. So if Brooks has a top 10 this week, it will sort of catapult his candidacy. He's one of those guys who just needs to show a little bit of form, I think, and I think Keegan wants him on the team. Like I think Keegan wants Brooks to be playing to a point where he feels like he can pick him. Really enjoyed doing this little bonus show for you guys, just yapping, talking about the golf. I'm picking Ben Griffin. That's 3 different picks. I picked Scottie Scheffler to start the week. I picked John Rahm after 1 round. I picked Ben Griffin after 2 rounds, and I'll probably pick someone different after 3 rounds. That is the nature of the sport that we play. But I'm officially abandoning John Rahm, and I'm officially jumping on the Ben Griffin bandwagon. I feel like it's going to happen this week. Anything can happen. Anything can happen, and that's sort of my 30,000 foot takeaway of the day. And if you guys have any questions right before I wrap up here, I'd love to hear them. But my takeaway for the day is just a different type of major. It felt like going into Quail Hollow, there were 3 or 4 guys: Scottie, Rory, Bryson, Xander, JT was in the mix big time as far as pre-tournament favorites who we thought could win it. And then it was it kind of played that way throughout the week with big names up there. But as of right now, it's wide open, and I think we could have our first unexpected major winner since Brian Harman at the 2023 Open Championship. Do you think Adam Scott has what it takes to win? I do. Yes, I think there is another major in his future. I've picked Ben Griffin this week, but I would not be surprised at all. Sam Burns and JJ Spawn. The only thing I'm a little concerned with is just relying a lot on the putter. Sam Burns has been maybe the best putter on tour, so maybe I shouldn't be doubtful that it's going to continue. Low round tomorrow, says JM. What player has the lowest? I think Scotty's going to shoot 3 under tomorrow and get himself right back in the mix. I think we could see a Scottie Ben Griffin run it back from Memorial, but it's impossible to predict. It's been really fun watching a course that is just absolutely ejected a bunch of world-class players. Let's bring up that old graveyard again, the miscut graveyard. Yeah, there it is. Ludwig, Phil Mickelson, Patrick Cantlay, Cameron Smith, Tommy Fleetwood, Minwoo Lee, Bryson DeChambeau, Joaquin Neiman, Justin Rose, Shane Lowry. Laz Rosales asked, is Dietrich for real? I think Thomas Dietrich, he's referencing, won early this year by 7 shots, I believe he won in Phoenix. Dietrich's been a guy who I think everyone sort of in the inside golf community has felt he's been a little bit of an underachiever with how much talent he has and how beautifully he swings it. He's had some success in Europe, and getting that first victory in the United States was absolutely massive. But I think people have expected to see a little bit more from Thomas Dietrich throughout his career, but still obviously plenty of time. So I think from a raw tools perspective, he's one of those guys who passes the driving range test, where if you walked past him in the driving range, would you say, is he one of the best players in the world? You would say yes. What's the winning score? I'll say +1. Ben Griffin wins this at +1. That's my latest prediction. But yeah, really good stuff. Enjoyed it as always with you guys. And we'll see you tomorrow. I'm gonna do a watch along for like the last hour tomorrow. So we'll be in here in the chat watching the golf, hanging out. Then we'll do a little look ahead to Saturday, and then we'll do a full watch along on Sunday. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Really good show. Really enjoying this from